MLJ Comics 1940, who predated Captain America by nearly a year. Soon, Captain America was battling the Nazis with the Submariner and the Human Torch, as Timely knew a good thing when they saw it. National, the future DC, made Mr. America into American Commando, along with the Star-Spangled Kid, Spirit of 76, Fighting Yank, Commando Yank, Miss Victory, Minuteman, and Flagman. Timely even created a Captain America clone with the Patriot. Another notable superhero was Uncle Sam, who appeared in the Quality Comics with National Comics #1 in 1940, created by comic book legend Will Eisner. He was depicted as the spirit of a soldier killed during the American Revolution, only appearing when his country needs him. He would later be incorporated into DC Comics when comic quality went under, and he has made regular appearances since then, often leading to freedom fighters. Joe Simon and Jack Kirby added to the patriotic superheroes again with the Boy Commandos in 1942, first appearing in Detective Comics number 64 about an international group of young boys fighting the Nazis, who they called Ratsies. The series would last for 7 issues in Detective Comics and even got their own title that lasted for 36 issues. They have made sporadic appearances in DC ever since, most recently in The Brave and Bold number 9 of February 2008, where they teamed up with the Blackhawks, and they're classic World War II heroes. Of course, with World War II, there will be comic books depicting daring fighter pilots, the Skywolf, Captain Flight, Captain Arrow, Captain Midnight, and Captain X of the Royal Air Force. Of these flyers, a notable one was Airboy, who first appeared in Hillman Publications' Air Fighters number 2 in 1942, and would last for 11 issues in that comic. It starred a teenage flying prodigy who flew a distinctive bat-shaped plane out of a California monastery. There was even some retroactive comics in the later decades, with The Invaders in 1975 by Roy Thomas, Sal Buscema, Bill Finger, and Martin Goodman, who first appeared in The Avengers number 71 in December 1969. It was originally based on the All Winners Squad, who first appeared in All Winners number 9 in fall of 1946 at Timely, created by Goodman and Bill Finger, and featured the team of Namor, Captain America, Bucky, the Human Torch, Toro, the Wizard, yes, that is a comic book character, and Miss America. It was originally Marvel's first superhero and later revived as The Invaders by Thomas and Buscema, who reimagined them as a superhero team that fought together during World War II. The Invaders would also introduce a British patriotic superhero with issue number 7 on July 1976 with Union Jack, created by Roy Thomas and artist Frank Robbins. Originally Lord James Falsworth, he fought as Union Jack during World War I, notably against Baron Blood, a vampire revealed to be his brother John. After the Great War, he retires to raise a family but returns to service with World War II, once again battling Baron Blood, because, vampires, they can't stay dead, who attacks James's daughter Jacqueline. She is later saved when the original Human Torch gives her a blood transfusion that results in her transforming to become the super-powered hero Spitfire, named after the legendary British fighter plane in World War II. Both characters have consistently appeared throughout Marvel ever since. All-Star Squadron first appeared in Justice League of America number 193 in August of 1981 at DC, also created by Roy Thomas and artist Rich Buckler and Jerry Ordway before getting their own series that September. The idea behind the series was to give stories about the Justice Society of America and other Earth 2 teams, with its history being President Franklin Delano Roosevelt calling the various DC superhero teams at the time, from the JSA to the Freedom Fighters, along with numerous solo heroes, to defend the home front during World War II. Why the president just didn't send them to take over Hitler is explained in issue number 4, as it's revealed that Hitler possessed the Spear of Destiny, thus creating a magical barrier around the Axis territory. So now we know. It wasn't just soldiers and superheroes who were the subject of stories about World War II, but the lives of ordinary people as well. London's Dark, by writer James Robinson and artist Paul Johnson, 1989, by Titan, took place during World War II London blackout as an ARP warden Jack Brooks investigates the murder. Another comic about the same period, Autumn, by writer Colin Clayton and Chris Downs, with art by Horace, was published by Caliber in 1995 about a serial killer in the same blackout. Complete with a hint of the supernatural, the killer believes he can get away with the crimes due to the surrounding carnage from the German bombings. Ethel and Ernest, a true story by Raymond Briggs, was published in 1999 by Jonathan Cape. Briggs is meant as a loving memoir to his parents, who sent their son away to the safety in the countryside while they stayed behind to help build shelters and Ernest volunteers as firemen, all while witnessing the carnage throughout the London bombing. Occupied France during World War II was also a ripe setting for comic book stories. Le Cerise, The Reprieve, by writer-artist Jean-Pierre Gilbert, is about Julien, a Frenchman who returns home during the war only to hide from the Nazis and as a result his own girlfriend. L'Ival de Cabor, The Fight of the Raven, was about Janine, who was betrayed by the police only to escape later. Sadly, while both were acclaimed, these works have yet to be translated in English. Shuken Bashin, known as Adolf in America, was a 5-volume series from 1983 to 1985, originally titled Dorforo ni Tsusaga, Tell Adolf, by manga legend Osamu Tezuka. The story was about two German boys living in Japan, both with the name Adolf during World War II. Adolf Kaufmann, who is also half Japanese, is sent to a German public school and a Hitler youth camp, while the Jewish Adolf Kamil remains in Japan, learning a secret about the more famous German Adolf. Like many of his works, Tezuka manages to work in romance and thrills, creating another unique masterpiece for the master of manga. Sadly, racist depictions of Japanese and Germans were common during this time. In Air Fighters No. 6, on the March of 1943, Airboy was shown killing rats with Japanese heads, were one of the more insidious examples. Surprisingly, this depiction and others like it would continue in the 1970s. Military comics by Quality in 1941 was the company's first foray into the war genre. The comic book was divided in two sections, one for the Army and one for the Navy. It lasted for 102 issues and would become Modern Comic, issue number 43, after the end of World War II. The title was best remembered for introducing the Blackhawks, the Polar Fighter Squadron, in issue number 1, and would later get their own series from 1944 to 1977 for 251 issues, with DC having acquired it in 1957 and kept it going. Created primarily by Chuck Cadora, with input by Bob Powell and Will Eisner, they originally fought the Nazis as the last remnants of the Polish Air Force during World War II, taking on communists post-war and other would-be conquerors. At their height, the series routed Superman in sales, along with spawning a film, serial, and radio series. Most recently, director Steven Spielberg has announced plans to adapt the comic book into a feature film. Back at DC, the series was revived as part of the company's New 52 line for 8 issues from September 2011 to April 2012. The latest series primarily featured the third Lady Blackhawk, a female member of the squadron, with the first being introduced in the Blackhawks number 133 in February of 1959. Another story that came out in Military Comics was Loops and Banks of the Red Dragon Squadron by Bob Powell, who is credited as Bud Ernest. Following the antics of two freelance airmen in China, Klaus Nordling, most famous for creating the Lady Luck character, produced Shot and Sell, another humorous trip about Flyer. The Army-themed stories, such as Blue Tracer by Fred Gurdam, about an engineer who builds the titular high-tech vehicle, which he uses to then travel to the world and fight the Axis powers. Archie Atkins' Desert Scout featured Arabs, Legionnaires, and Germans. In the Navy section, Yankee Eagle tells the story of a Navy secret operation Jerry Noble and his eagle named Sam. There was also the Death Patrol by Jack Cole, which predated the Dirty Dozen movie by 25 years, about 5 convicts ranging from a safecracker to a con artist who band together to fight the Nazis. Miss America by Ed Wexler was a strange one about a superhero and gifted with superpowers from the Statue of Liberty, no less. Q-Boat by Henry Keffer rounded out the first issue from Albatross, about the Albatross, the four-masted schooner equipped with modern and advanced weaponry, including an airplane. At least this story actually had a Navy theme. True Comics by True Comics Incorporated in 1941 featured educational biographies such as Winston Churchill and Simon Bowler, along with a history of fighter aircraft. During World War II, the comic focused on biographies related to it, such as U.S. Army Chief General George C. Marshall and General Douglas MacArthur. Even the OSS, Office of Strategic Services, and the predecessor to the CIA, and the Russian allies were featured. The series lasted for 84 issues until 1950. Another comic book series that featured true stories was Medal of Honor, telling stories of Medal of Honor winners. The first comic was published in 1946 by A.S. Curtis. Another Medal of Honor series was made as a backup feature in DC's Star-Spangled War Stories, number 160 in 1964, written and drawn by Norman Maurer. The series also ran Our Army at War. A third series was done by Dark Horse in 1994. Star-Spangled War Stories, which has been mentioned numerous times before, was a DC anthology comic first published in 1952. First titled Star-Spangled Comics, it will be renamed with issue number 131 and lasted for 204 issues until being renamed The Unknown Soldier with issue number 205, after one of its most popular characters in the series. The series will also be the home of Mademoiselle Marie, Enemy Ace, and the classic story The War That Time Forgot. The series was later revived with a new 52 launch in September 2014 called Star-Spangled War Stories featuring G.I. Zombie, which will last for 8 issues till March of 2015. Movie comics number 10123-409 in 1964 by Dell is also notable, as it told the true story of John F. Kennedy's service in the Navy. That was an adaptation of the movie PT 109, starring Cliff Robertson as JFK in 1963. Stories of the Resistance were also featured in comics, such as Monsieur X, who made his only appearance in Military Comics number 6 in 1942 in a 9-page Secret Wars news story. Created by Al McWilliams, he was a domino mask-wearing Frenchman who left a Zorro-like X to terrorize the Nazis. There in Military Comics number 8 by Timely in that same year introduced Lieutenant John Watkins and the V Battalion. Illustrated by Ben Thompson, about a resistance group operating deep inside Nazi-controlled Europe, it would mark Nazis with a large V on their chest, also relieving them of their shirts. They would only make other appearances in the Comedy Comics number 9. Smash Comics number 33 from Quality in 1942 featured the Marksman, a 7-page story drawn by Ed Cronin, a Robin Hood-like hero complete with a hood and bow and arrows. The character would battle in the resistance at the end of the war, or more specifically Smash Comics number 58, eventually joining forces with the Three Shadows, a Czech, a Pole, and an Austrian, no, that's not a joke about going into a bar, who escaped a concentration camp to fight the Nazis. A more realistic take on the resistance was Mademoiselle Marie, who appeared in the Star-Spangled War Stories number 84 in 1959, created by Robert Kinnear and artist Jerry Gardinetti, which ran for 8 issues. Chat Noir, the Black Cat, a.k.a. Steve Robinson, was created by Robert Kinnear and Joe Kubert, notable for being a black resistance fighter in World War II, appearing in Star-Spangled War Stories number 151. However, Chat would be overshadowed with the other character Kinnear and Kubert created in that same issue, the Unknown Soldier, arguably one of the most popular characters in the war comic book genre. A heavily bandaged warrior whose name is inspired by the tomb of the Unknown Soldier at Arlington Cemetery, he came with the motto, "He is a man that no one knows but is known by everyone." The Unknown Soldier is also known as the Immortal GI to explain how he always manages to appear in every major American conflict since World War II. He first appeared in Our Army at War number 168 in June of 1966 in the story I Knew the Unknown Soldier, and Kinnear and Kubert enjoyed the character so much they moved him into Star-Spangled War Stories number 151 on June and July of 1971, and lasting to issue number 204 in February 1977, after which the series was renamed The Unknown Soldier with issue number 205. His identity was never revealed, implying he was a young soldier whose face was disfigured early in his service. Despite this, he is a master of disguise and takes some ingenious latex masks, though his scars causes his face to itch while wearing them, making him to scratch his face in a distinctive way. The series would continue to issue number 268 in October of 1982 with the story A Farewell to War, where he is sent on a mission to stop a Nazi superweapon during the Battle of Berlin with Sparrow and Chat Noir, with all 3 dying while accomplishing their mission. However, in that same issue, a staff sergeant is seen in Berlin on May 7, 1945, when the Nazis surrendered, scratching his face in a distinctive way. The character was too popular to leave in the grave forever, though, and even teamed with Superman in DC Comics in DC Comics Presents number 42 on February of 1982, where he's assisted by a mysterious soldier. Superman begins to believe that he is the immortal GI while trying to stop a nuclear holocaust. At the end of the story, Clark Kent goes to visit the tomb of the Unknown Soldier in Arlington Cemetery to pay respects, all while a gardener looks on in the background, scratching his face in a distinctive way. Swamp Thing number 82 in January 1989 finally revealed the Unknown Soldier was in fact still alive in the story Brothers in Arms Part 2, but how he was kept classified by the U.S. government. He even appeared in Blackest Night event in 2009, where he is depicted as a Black Lantern who attacks the tomb of the Unknown Soldier proclaiming, "I have a name." The character would also have a 12-part miniseries in 1988 by writer Jim Owsley and artist Phil Gasson, in which he explains he is literally immortal and has a more cynical view towards war. Writer Garth Ennis and artist Kellen Plunkett did a 4-part miniseries in 1997 about a CIA agent who investigates the Unknown Soldier's involvement in America's past wars, all while the Unknown Soldier is looking for a replacement. The character remains a popular war figure in DC Comics to this day, and is reported an inspiration for Darkman, the 1990 superhero film by Sam Raimi, who with both characters having a scarred face covered with bandages and are both masters of disguise. And with that, we'll leave off for now, but believe it or not, we are still in the middle of World War II comics. Like I said before, these are some of the most popular comics of the genre. We will continue with this subject matter and eventually move on to future wars and all before that. And now it is March 14th, 2019, time for the reviews. First up, favorite comic book of the week, The Goon by Eric Powell, which finds the Goon and his pal Norton returning to their old stomping grounds, only to discover that after they cleaned up the city, it's just as messed up, so they have to get back to